Good morning, everyone. There's a well-known narrative in Memories, Dreams, and Reflections when depth psychologist and psychoanalyst Carl Jung meets an indigenous mind for the first time. In this story, Jung is on the pueblo in New Mexico with a native elder when they exchange thoughts on the notion of mind. And the elder said to Jung, "You think with your head." And Jung asked, "How do you think?" And the elder replied, "From here," while resting his hand on his heart. We'll spend the next few mindful moments together resting in our heart mind, in tender reflection and bearing witness on this day honoring Indigenous peoples. Bearing witness as a contemplative practice is a psychospiritual term referring to sharing experiences with others, as we just did a moment ago with our dear colleague, Dr. Fortune, and the suffering that is occurring in Florida. This practice invites empathy and support and can be a catharsis and portal of entry to processing trauma. Bearing witness is available to us every moment when we simply show up with our full-hearted presence to suffering. So let us begin, as we often do, by arriving together and greeting this generous companion that is our body. Explore a position that is comfortable while still alert, uplifted, at ease, and dignified in this moment. And when you have found your seat between heaven and earth in this mysterious form that is your being human, bring your attention to your breath. Allow your breath to host and support you, still while still moving, as we tend to the gifts, joys, and sorrows of Indigenous people. Let us bear witness. For only the second time in the history of the society, a U.S. president has officially recognized Indigenous Peoples Day. A proclamation was issued on Friday by the president to observe this day as one to honor Native Americans, our resilience, and our contributions to the society throughout history, even as we face the mutilations of assimilation, discrimination, and a genocidal project spanning generations that continue to this day. Let us bear witness. The first seed of Indigenous Peoples Day was planted at the UN International Conference on Discrimination in 1977. The first state to recognize the day was South Dakota in 1989. Berkeley, California, and Santa Cruz followed suit. Let us bear witness. Why does Indigenous Peoples Day serve our communities? Observing this day supports us as a remedy for the harmful effects of racism in this society and the inaccurate historical facts that have been spread to justify the ongoing devastating effects of colonization. Let us bear witness. Notice what arises for you in this experience of bearing witness. What sensations are coming and going? Are you able to greet them all with support and hospitality? Let us bear witness to the direct experience shared from the truth of the body. Research has shown that the lack of representation of Native peoples in mainstream society creates a void that limits the understanding and knowledge that Americans have of Native communities. Invisibility is one of the modern forms of racism against Native peoples. The void is filled by the limited representation that often reinforces toxic myths and stereotypes that fuel ignorance, misinformation, and bias. Let us bear witness. Honoring Indigenous Peoples' Day, ultimately, by centering Indigenous perspectives, acknowledges the legacies of colonialism and honors the histories, cultures, contributions, and resilience of contemporary Native peoples. Observations of Native Peoples' Day have the power to shift these narratives, misperceptions, and biases, embracing the gifts of diversity for us all. Let us bear witness. Although the overall suicide rate in the United States has increased in recent years, particularly since the onset of the pandemic, specific communities and identities experience disproportionate risks. Suicide is the second leading cause of death among American Indian and Alaska Native youth ages 8 to 24. And American Indian and Alaska Native youth aged 10 to 24 continue to have the highest rate of suicide of all demographic groups. Let us bear witness. As with all of humanity, our Indigenous gifts are many: art, poetry, literature, technology, science, and most importantly to me, a commitment to community and future generations. What is expressed as democracy in this society was actually a gift from the Iroquois nations known as the Great Law of Peace. According to faith keeper and elder Oren Lyons, the great peacemaker brought peace to the 5 nations. With this law, it united the 5 Iroquois nations into a League of Nations, or the Iroquois Confederacy, and became the basis for its constitution. And ultimately, this society's experiment, democracy, was seated. Let us bear witness. Indigenous feminism is inherent in the Native cultures of the Americas. Despite a variety of cultures from over 400 tribes and languages, the similarities in creation stories, women's roles, and ceremonies are intertwined like a woven rug or birch bark basket. Indigenous ways of knowing are inseparable from Indigenous feminism and include connection to nature and care for the earth, permeable connections between people and the rest of creation. The critical notion that all things in creation are sacred. The critical notion that all things in creation are sacred. The importance of balance and harmony within and between people and creation, as well as the cyclical view of time, development, and existence. Let us bear witness. Notice what arises for you in this experience. What sensations are coming and going? Are you able to greet them all with support and hospitality? Curiosity. We'll bring our bearing witness circle to a close with this invitation from Indigenous scholar Manaluni Alulimeyer. How I experience the world is different from how you experience the world, and both our interpretations matter. Both our interpretations matter. This is an important point as it links inevitably to transformative policies, awareness, and pathways to liberation via our own articulated epistemologies. It expands the idea of what knowledge is supposed to be, and in truth is vast, limitless, and completely intersubjective. As we awaken, a revolution of remembering will bring us back to what is valuable about life and knowing, knowledge and knowing. And as long as you remember what you have seen, nothing is gone. As long as you remember, it is part of the story we have together. Let's rest here for a moment. Offer gratitude to everyone who showed up to this moment with your whole heart to bear witness. Ometiot.